Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because 1 hour form wasn't enough, and yet another movie vlog. Okay, so I wanted to do a movie vlog on this movie when it came out, so I know I'm really, really late to the party on this, but not too late to talk about it now because, well, I recently got it on Blu-ray, so yeah. This was a requested video by Becca Veach, the same person who requested the Thumbelina review a long ways back. And so, she asked me to do a review of this. I watched the movie, obviously, when it was in theaters. I came out really liking it, and now I got it on Blu-ray, watched it again, and I like it. It is a really good movie. So, for all two of you who probably don't know about Captain Underpants, Captain Underpants was a book series, very popular with middle schoolers and high schoolers, and well, just like Goosebumps, it sparked controversy from baseball dads and soccer moms who thought that it was horrible that kids are reading such perverse and crass toilet humor, when in reality nowadays parents would be glad because it's getting their kids to read. So yeah, first world problems for you right there. The books were good. It was basically about, obviously, two kids who had an asshole principal, and they used a hypno ring in the very first book to control him, and they turned him into this character that they were making comics about, and it was a superhero called Captain Underpants. And obviously, if you somehow don't know about Captain Underpants, which I think almost everybody does, but yeah, right there, he's a very large man with no clothes except for underwear and a red cape. And his catchphrase is tra-la-la. It's a very, very silly concept with lots of toilet humor in between. It was kind of like a toned down Beavis and Butthead, if you will, I guess, in book form. And the art style of the original book, I thought, reminded me a lot of like what Jeff Kinney, the guy who would eventually go on to make Diary of a Wimpy Kid, kind of started doing. Except the art style worked. Not to say that the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books were bad. I like the books. The movie's totally different story. Probably will do a video on that eventually. But the reason that the Captain Underpants books worked with the art was because it was told from the perspective of the two main kids, Harold and George. And so it was appropriate that the art style was like a little childish. There was a reason for that. I remember I made this joke to myself while watching it again. There's a part where they're working on the comic in their treehouse, and like the art, like you're supposed to think, like, as an adult, you're like, oh, that artwork looks so childish. I'm like, man, these are kids, and they were still able to make something better than Sanchu issue 1. References to my review show. But yeah, so basically the movie follows the exact same plot as like the first few books. The essential plot of them hypnotizing Principal Krupp into becoming Captain Underpants, that's in there. The evil villain, Professor Poopy Pants. Sorry, I gotta say it again. Professor Poopy Pants. He's introduced. Obviously, he hates laughter, he hates children, he's an evil scientist. That was one of the gags they put in the trailer, and yeah, it's pretty funny, where he says, like, "Hey class, I'm your new science teacher, not some scary guy with the secret evil agenda." Now, usually in movies I would hate that kind of dialogue, but with this it kind of gets a pass, because if it's able to make me laugh, then I can let it slide. And in this case, it did make me laugh, so there you go. Let's talk about the voice actors. Okay, the obvious one is the kids. Yes. When I saw the trailer, like a lot of other people, it's insanely distracting that you have grown-ass men's voices coming out of two little kids. But once you get into the movie, I kind of look past that. I'm like, you know, I could look by it. It is really weird though, because yeah. Ed Helms, I thought, did a good job. Some people said that they wanted the principal's voice to be more gruff, but I don't know. I think Ed Helms, especially when there was the scene where he's like, they keep switching him back and forth between Krupp and Captain Underpants. That was actually pretty funny. And it kind of shows that Ed Helms can do the characters like back and forth, where he's just going from like really pissed off to tra-la-la. That was funny. Nick Kroll, I thought, did a good job as the villain. Here's the thing. Nick Kroll's kind of like hit or miss for me. I didn't like The Kroll Show when it was on Comedy Central, but I think whenever he does voices, I think he's actually really good. And in this movie's no exception, because he does like that exaggerated like European faux German accent really well. So I did think that was good. One voice that, like, someone pointed this out to me after I saw the movie. Well, actually, I saw it in the credits when I first saw it in theaters, but it's like Jordan Peele is the voice of the suck-up kid, and it was weird because it was like I didn't think it was him, and then I was like, oh my god, that was Jordan Peele, and I'd be damned. That was actually really good casting, because Jordan Peele, like, here's the thing about voice acting for me, like, when it comes to voice actors and celebrities, I usually think you gotta get a person who's good with voices. Like, whenever people cast, like, you know, Drake or Nicki Minaj in movies, it's just like, who cares? It's like, it's like, oh, hey, look, that's Nicki Minaj, that's Drake doing voices. But you gotta get someone who can actually change their voice, and Jordan Peele did a really good job, so I was like, you know what? Props to that guy, man. He did a really good job on that. So there's that. The animation, I believe, I could be wrong, I'll probably correct myself later, but you know what? The animation, obviously everyone compares to the Peanuts movie, which, you know what? The Peanuts movie was also a damn good movie that, oh my god, that movie was so good. I saw it in theaters so many times. It's so good. I have it on DVD. And just like that movie, this movie is a good example of how you can take a nostalgic property and not force the modernization onto it. Because, I mean, like, one of the pop songs they play in this movie was Yellow's Oh Yeah, or as It's Always Sunny fans like to call it, Day Bow Bow. Watched that episode yesterday. It's such a good episode. So yeah, there's oh, and of course, speaking of music, how can we forget the fact that Weird Al Yankovic does the theme song? That's so awesome, because in the very first book they actually reference Weird Al, so that is really appropriate. Like, I mean, that's totally perfect. That's a perfect fit right there. If you're gonna do a movie based on Captain Underpants, you gotta have someone like Weird Al do the theme. That's awesome. That's really cool. Let's see, animation, voice acting. Okay, let's talk about the obvious one, the humor. Okay, the humor is very childish. It goes without saying. I mean, you have a character called Professor Poopy Pants. So, also, okay, just before I forget, I made this joke while I was watching it the second time, and they point out that he can't take a joke at his own expense, and I was like, insert easy, leafy, no chin comment here. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's very crass, and, like, the whole purpose, like, the whole goal of Professor Poopy Pants is to get rid of laughter because he hates it. And so the movie has this message that, like, humor is an important thing, and it's also important to know when you take a joke too far, because the boys obviously get in so much trouble when they turn their principal, almost said professor, turn their principal into Captain Underpants, because it just becomes this huge hassle for them, and it's like, it's causing a huge, it's a huge problem. So that's a good lesson. There's obviously a lesson about friendship. Friendship is magic. God, I hate that. Not the show. I'm still a fan of the show if you're curious, but God, the blatant, the My Little Ponies in the My Little Pony movie, that just no. But the humor, one thing I liked about the movie, this was kind of unexpected, was like, I don't know if you call it anti-humor, because obviously, you know, there's tons of different anti-humor that I like. You know, people like Old Filthy Frank videos and John Tron, H3H3, Red Letter Media. I like them. And then there's stuff that I don't think's that funny, like certain Tim and Eric skits and Friendship is Witchcraft, which we talked about before, and we've talked about that before in other videos. But this movie, like, there's a whole thing with dolphins. I haven't read the books in forever and a half, so I don't know if that was in them, but that was a whole funny running gag. It's like, what is with you and dolphins? I like dolphins, okay? It's like, it's just so random. Like, the dolphins just come in out of nowhere. Oh, and speaking of that scene, there's a really good joke where like, lots of good fourth wall breaking in this. Like, this is Deadpool levels of, like, really clever fourth wall breaks. Like, my favorite part was the fliporama bit where it's like the following action sequence was too expensive, so we're gonna have to show this in a fliporama form, and they like flip between the pages, and then it's just like they run out of paper, and then the next thing you know they're hanging off of like a building, and it's like, what happened? I ran out of paper. That was really funny. That's one of the things I liked about this movie. That's how you do clever like meta and fourth wall breaking. And, okay, some people freaked out because the name of the movie is Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Here's my thing. The first book was called, like, the first epic issue or something like that. I'm blanking on that right now, but it's like... So I think that's what they were playing off of, the first epic adventure or whatever. So it's like, oh my god. If they make a sequel, I'd be down with it. If they don't, I'm like, whatever. It's kind of like a... like. Really, this goes without saying, but it's like, if you're gonna do a sequel, make sure you've got a reason for it. But, like, yeah, if there's a sequel to that, fine. If they don't make a sequel, I'm also down, whatever. But, yeah, there's really not much to say, aside from the plot. Like, you know, Professor Poopy Pants is trying to, you know, get rid of laughter. He has this huge toilet machine, which is obviously from the books. Well, at least one of them. One of the things that I liked was, oh god, what is her name? Kristen Shaw? Yeah, she's the voice of the Prince of God, it is early in the morning right now, I'm sorry. But, she plays, like, the lunch lady that has a crush on, Mr. Krupp. And, like, I don't know, just hearing Kristen Shaw is just like, yes, because, you know, who doesn't love Kristen Shaw? She's as cute as a button, and we all, like, oh my god, she's great. So, yeah, I liked her character. She's, like, this, like, shy... kind of geeky, like, lunch lady, and she has a thing for Mr. Krupp. So that I liked. Going back to the humor, because that's what we were talking about before, like, yeah, the humor, another good example of, like, really out there humor, which I don't know if you'd really classify as anti-humor, but it's like, they have this whole section where, George and Harold are thinking about, like, them being split up and put in separate classes, and it's like, they do it through sock puppets. And it's like, we'll be put in separate classes. Months will go by, we'll forget each other, I'll see you in the mall, I'll be wearing a suit jacket, you'll have a new haircut, you won't recognize my name, and then robots will come and start blasting everything. It's like, wait, why are there robots? I don't know, it's the future, there has to be robots. Well, why are the robots fighting each other? Shouldn't they be friends? There's an easy Robot Wars joke in there. And it's just like, see, this is why we need each other. You're the writer, I'm the artist. So that was really funny, because I didn't expect it, so that... like, all the stuff that I wasn't expecting, that was usually the funniest stuff in the movie. There's also a bunch of, like, little, like, in-jokes. Well, not in-jokes, obviously, to the books, but it's like, Principal Krupp lives on a street that's, like, Curmudgeon Street. It was something along those lines. I saw it, like, 2 days ago, so and it's early in the morning, so I'm kind of blanking. But, yeah, that I like, too. Like... yeah, like, this movie, really, it was kind of hard for me to not like it. Like, I had a decent amount of hope going into it. It's funny, because when I saw this in theaters, there was, like, not that many people, but there was a dad and his daughter sitting next to me. And then when the movie was over and we walked out, I looked at them, I'm like, so did you guys like it? And, you know, both the kid and the adult were like, oh yeah, that was so good. It was like a total trip down memory lane, and that I was happy for. It's like, because that really, like, movies like this and the Peanuts movie, I feel like they should be good trips down memory lane versus stuff like, you know, Alvin and the Chipmunks and all those other, like, really crappy live-action stuff. Those usually are just cash grabs. This, on the other hand, I feel like there was a genuine intent to make a good extension from the original series, as well as to try and make the audience laugh and maybe even bring a new generation in. So, on that level, I thought Captain Underpants really succeeded. So, yeah. There's really not much left for me to say. I really enjoyed this movie. If you're a fan of Captain Underpants, I'd highly recommend it. I think it's a good kids movie. Yeah, I'd recommend Captain Underpants a fair amount. So, there you go. Becca, I hope you got what you wanted with this vlog, and those are my thoughts on the Captain Underpants movie. Really enjoyed it. So, that's all the videos I have for January, guys, and I will see you guys in the next Media Whiz, which will be a review. It's going to be a review of a pop song. I'm not going to say what it is, but... this is going to be a good one. So, until then, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.